Good afternoon, Father. Shall we start our session?
Yes, okay. I'm ready.
Okay. Okay. Hi. Hi, welcome. I'm visible. I'm audible.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, okay. A warm good afternoon to one and all present here. I would like to extend heartily welcome you all to behalf of Department of Vocational Studies and IQAC of Christ College Autonomous Iringalkuda. Today's national webinar on getting started with Python. I'm Reja Eugene, Assistant Professor, Department of Vocational Studies, Christ College, Iringalkuda. I hope you are interested to learn Python. It's a high-level, interpretive, interactive, and object-oriented scripting language. It is designed to be highly readable. And finally, how do you create your function? So the idea with this webinar is to give you a little taster and make you want more, kind of help you in your journey to learning Python. Today, we Department of Vocational Studies in association with IQAC organizes national webinar presented by Nishant Sir, Microsoft certified trainer, completed statistics and R at Harvard University. This webinar gives you an opportunity to learn why Python has a career opportunity. Then, what are the reasons for Python increasing demand? Just a little housekeeping. Before we get started, I requested all of you to mute your audio noise to avoid background noises. If you have questions, then please type them in the chat box. I will bring them up during the presentation, and we will also have time for question at the end. Take the process of mindset. The function of prayer is not to influence God, but change the nature one who prays. So let's begin with a silent prayer. Thanks, Mary. Before we start our session, I would like to invite Gina Cho, our program coordinator, to deliver the welcome address. Miss, please.
Hello, good afternoon everyone. The Department of Vocational Studies are really excited to have a national webinar on getting started with Python in association with IQAC. It is a great pleasure to welcome all of you to this webinar. I am indeed happy to welcome Father Dr. Jolie Andrews, our beloved principal, to this session and also thank him for this support. Welcome, Father. Today we have our resource person, Mr. Nishant sir. He is a Microsoft certified trainer, Excel expert, also IBM certified specialist, who said yes to our invitation during his busy working hours. I am really grateful to welcome you, sir. Next, I would like to welcome our Nodal Officer, Dr. Leon Verghese sir, whom we are always grateful for his immense support. Then I would like to welcome our enthusiastic, energetic IQAC coordinator, Dr. Robinson sir, to this webinar. Then I welcome Mr. Prakash sir, TCS Executive Manager, to this webinar. Then I welcome my colleagues, regionalists, radios sir, all teachers and students of various colleges to participate in this informative session. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss. Next, I would like to invite our principal, Father Dr. Jolie Andrews, to inaugurate this webinar and bless with his words. Father, please.
Okay, thank you. I think you can all see and hear me.
Yes,
Yes.
Father.
Thank you. The chief guest of the day and the resource person Nishant P. the Microsoft Certified Trainer, Microsoft Excel Expert from IBM, the Nodal Officer of the BWOG, Dr. Leons, IQAC Coordinator Dr. Robinson, uh, Gina George, who is heading the Department of Vocational Studies, Rija Eugene, the convener of today's national webinar. I am very happy to note that the Department of Vocational Studies, in association with IQAC of Christ College Iringalakoda, is organizing a national webinar on getting started with Python. We know as the computation techniques evolved, new and improved versions of computation languages also evolved. And one of the new gen language that has been widely used as far as an industry has been concerned is Python. As the name itself symbolizes, it is a giant. It is a giant, one of the giants as far as the computation languages has been concerned because of its manifold advantages that would be seen shortly by our resource person, or that would be presented shortly by our resource person Nishad B. In this occasion, I wholeheartedly appreciate the Department of Vocational Studies for organizing this wonderful webinar. I also thank and remember with appreciation the UGC Nodal Officer, Dr. Leon Varghese, IQAC Coordinator, Dr. Robinson, then Gina George, who is heading the department, as well as Rija Eugene, who is the convener of today's program. I wish all the best and all the success for all the best and all the success for this webinar. It will be best if all others are muted. Otherwise, there will be a lot many disturbance. You can
Hello. Mute your word.
all others. If there is a provision for muting all others, it could be done. Uh, wish you all the best. Have a wonderful day. Have a nice webinar. Once again, my sincere appreciation to you all. Finally, a word about Christ College. Christ College was started in 1956 by the legendary Father Padmabhushan, uh, Father Gabriel, and right from the start of the beginning, we have become one of the epicenters of academic training, and we have got perhaps the largest number of students enrollment in the last year. It was around 3,900, and now still growing. So, wish you all the best, and for having this wonderful webinar. May God bless you all. Have a nice day. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Father. Please mute. Hello. Please mute your audio. Can you? Okay. Thank you. Next, I would like to invite calm and quiet, lovable, inspiration personality of our IQAC coordinator, Dr. Robinson sir, to felicitate a few words for this webinar. Welcome.
Thank you, Regent. Respected principal of the college, Father Dr. Jolie Andrews, the coordinator of nodal officer of BWOC, Dr. Leon Varghese, today's resource person, Mr. Nishant, my friend Prakash, and dignitaries and staff of BWOC department, and my dear students. I would like to share a small incident with you. In the 2017 pass-out batch of BSc Chemistry, we had an outstanding student. His name was Vishnu. When he got selected in IIT Mumbai for a course, for an PhD, integrated PhD course in energy studies. Once he got selected, actually, I advised him, Vishnu, before going to IIT Mumbai, you may study some computer courses, like you will have to have some proficiency in the programming language, so you may study the C language. Actually, I was not much aware of Python at that time. He accepted. He studied some of the parts of C language, and he told he knows something about C. And once he went there, he was surprised because the first assignment he was given was to program something in the Python language. He was not aware of the Python language, and he started asking me, and also he started asking friends, and finally he could go through the Python language. So what I would suggest, my dear students, the Python programming course is there in BSc Physics, it seems. BVOC students are studying it. BCA and BSc Computer Science will be studying Python. But studying Python and understanding Python, but programming in Python is a different thing. I hope today's resource person, I heard he is a very able, very knowledgeable resource person, Mr. Nishant. He would be explaining all the industrial aspects of Python language. So I encourage all the students to have a wonderful session, and I really take this opportunity to congratulate all the staff of BWOC department for organizing such a useful program. After the program, there may be the announcement of a certificate course in Python, which will be organized in collaboration with TCS Star Innovations Thrissur. Star Innovations Thrissur, Prakash is there. Last year also we conducted the program, and we are happy to be associated with Star Innovations. I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate Star Innovations also. So, dear friends, have a nice webinar, have a nice programming in Python. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now I invite Mr. Prakash sir to introduce our resource person, Mr. Nishan Bey. Please, sir.
Yeah, good evening all. Good evening, Father Jolly Andrews, and my respected sir, and also my friend, Mr. Robinson sir, and Rija Miss, Gina Miss, Leon sir, etc., and my dear aspiring young technical students. So I would like to introduce myself as Prakash. I head the Star Innovations. We also associate with TCS Ion. TCS is nothing but Tata Consultancy Services. So we have been associated with Christ for the last 2 years for doing Python programming. As Robinson sir has mentioned, this particular language has got lot of achievements in various technology fields when we come look into the industry. So talk more about, I would like to introduce my friend, my benchmate, my proxy attendance guy in college, Mr. Nishant, who has been working in this particular platform for last 15 years. So I can't say Nishant is not a person who studied a Python course and came to this particular program. He started off with his career in Excel. Then he understood what exactly the more possibilities in data mining, data business intelligence, etc. Then he started. I wondered, we are all from electronics background, and he started studying Python of his own, and now he heads research project for many of the well-known doctors who is doing a specialization in their masters, MD or DM medicine in Bangalore. So they get confused in the later part of their academic research, etc. So he is the guy who teaches them in analyzing their concepts, results, etc., conceptualization, etc. So I would like to introduce Nishant and let Nishant takes over from here.
Thank you, Prakash. Thank you, everyone.
Okay,
So,
now it's time to start our session. Welcome Nishan sir to lead the session.
yeah, thank you. Thanks, everyone. So today, as said, I'm just trying to give you an idea of what this Python language is all about. Okay, let's straight away get into the topic. I'll I mean, see the core. If I say that you guys are on a particular language, then obviously there should be some takeaway from that language. So, what is that takeaway should be financially beneficial? Discuss with you what are those financial takeaways with respect to Python. What are the achievements which you can make, different areas in which you can achieve all these things in the current seminar.
Hello, sir.
Yes, madam.
Yeah, can hear loudly. Please raise your voice.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think there was a problem with the microphone. So I
Yeah,
think now
okay.
you guys should be able to hear me correctly.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
No audible.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank
So I'll straight away get into the resources of Python here. Um, see why Python first. Python is an interpreted high level and a general purpose programming knowledge. Most important thing, it's a general purpose programming knowledge. Okay, so which means that it could be used in various fields. And one of the recent applications of this Python programming language is none other than data science, which is one of the most hot topic of the current days. So one of the most versatile language which you can say, and one of the most, and Python is popular mainly because of simplicity. I'll be telling these words many times in the current seminar. Flexibility and simplicity, that is what it means. See, it's obvious reasons that why was TikTok more popular than YouTube or Facebook is none. There is nothing but the other reason which cannot replace it was nothing but simplicity. So here also this language is gaining momentum. See, Python is not what yesterday's programming language. It's there since almost 15 years. And it's not even 15 years, it's more than that. It's 1991. So it's there since almost maybe around 30 years or so. So, but it has started gaining momentum. It has started beating the other peers of their programming language recently because of its flexibility, simplicity, and also the community support. Community support basically means, what I'm trying to say is that, for example, if you have a problem in Python, you might have to, refer to, you might go to Google to find out something. So now, whenever you, Google, you get sufficient amount of links which will actually help you. That's called community support. So Python is becoming popular these days and created by the Guido van Ronson. It was released. Python comes because they had invented this language, and these guys want, come up with uh, which becomes popular, and also uh, which can be shared, and which can be easily uh, which can most of the people. So these guys, there was a comedy show which was coming in BBC the late during the, and it was something called as Monty Python program, and from that they picked up this word Python as Python. So that's how this name came up over there. Particular programming language emphasizes and new lines, which uh, see programming languages, if you do that in single line, you can't split it up, but this you can split. Sets and tabs also matter a lot here. So those are the things which are space means something in Python programming language. Even if you do it, there is something, there is some hidden meaning.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Any participants can chat
Yeah.
with can hear your voice.
Okay. One second. I've just switched the ports.
Okay, sir.
So in case
Yeah.
if you're not able to hear me, just you let me know. Yeah. So this is how Python actually works up. So why Python? Python is, as I said, why should I go to Python? Most fastest growing programming language. Okay, and extremely versatile and an easy to learn language. And if you want to build a career in programming, then it makes sense to master this language. So if you have said that I'll make a career out of programming, then this is the one which you should look at. Okay, so it makes sense. So if normally there is the biggest competitor to Python is Java. So I'll tell you why Java and why not Python. All those reasons will be discussed here. Okay, next. See, this is the core difference here. Okay, the core difference between non-programmer, programmer, and a Python programmer. So Python program basically offers you simplicity and it works at ease. So that's the basic difference between just a programmer and being a Python programmer. And not only that, you'll not believe that this programming language is being used across multinational companies worldwide. So, for example, one of the director of Google, okay, he said that Python has become such an important part, and it continues to remain and grows and evolves. He has made some statements telling that Google is heavily dependent on Python programming. So Google depends heavily on Python programming. Okay, so that's the statement which these guys are making. And I'll tell you that one of some of the few very famous apps which we use day in and day out use Python for various tasks. So I'll just tell you about what these things are. Python is great because it's a most wanted programming language, most popular, most loved after Rust. Rust is also kind of a programming language, but this is most loved programming language because of its, again, two reasons: simplicity and ease of use. And it's great for all purpose. It's very versatile, which means you learn one programming language, it's versatile. Okay. Few of applications of Python. First application, the recent application is data analytics, web development, mobile apps, machine learning, automation, IoT, robots. All these things use Python. So Python, has a very vast application. As I said, there's application is there are a lot of applications of Python, and these are few applications which we are discussing today. Okay, so uh, if you talk about the percentage analysis, the first top application of Python is data analysis. So if you want to build a career in data science, without Python, you have nowhere to go. So first, there are two parts in data analysis. One is the programming, the platform on which you achieve this data analysis, and the second is the algorithms which you need to know. So there are a lot of algorithms with respect to data science. I'll discuss about them, few of them later. But if you want to if you want to churn the data, if you want to extract some insights to the data, then it is Python programming language. There's always a tug of war between R and Python. R is also a programming language, and Python is also a programming language. There's always a tug of war between Python and um, this R, but Python always scores better. The reason why Python always scores better than R programming language is because Python is simple. It could be easily interfaced with the existing systems. Okay, so that is what makes Python more popular. The next application of Python is actually web development. In web development, what has happened recently is that there are some beautiful frameworks which have come out, and because of which Python is gaining more popularity in web development. After that, you have automation scripts, machine learning, and so on. It goes on, but one of the most important application is data analysis. So if you want to be a data scientist, data science, etc., then it's Python. So without Python, there's no way that you can say that I'm a data scientist. Okay, so that's the kind of dependency which we have in today's world. Three main applications. First is web development, data science, and then scripting. Scripting basically means trying to automate few tasks. So you might run few backend applications, automative tasks, which is called as basically scripting. So I'll discuss one by one. Let me first take you through web development. Why is Python gaining more importance in web development? See, web development doesn't mean HTML and PHP kind of. Those are websites. Web development basically means that you are building an application on the website, like something like a Flipkart. Flipkart is not a website; it interacts with you. Okay, Amazon is not just a website; it interacts with you. So whenever that interaction happens, there is a constant programming language which runs at the background. Okay, so because of which we need something called as a web development, which happens, and it happens at the olden days, which was happening on Java, and now people also do prefer Python. Okay, so why? Because web frameworks like Django and Flask, these are the two most popular web framework. Web framework means that it helps you to write a piece of code, both by the backend or frontend. But these web frameworks help you to create server-side code backend in Python. That's the code which runs on the server. and as opposed to on the users devices and browsers, that is nothing but the front end code. So for example, if you are buying something on big basket, okay, there is a backend code also running which is constantly updating the inventory. Okay, there's also a code running which is trying to track your buying pattern. There's also a front end code running which is giving you the live prices. Okay, which is helping you to build the cart. All these things, both front and back end, they go hand in hand, and they try to come up with a task. So this kind of frameworks are written predominantly on Python. Okay, but people, again, there are few people who prefer more Java here, but there are few people who prefer Python also. But these are the two frameworks which are very popularly used. So I'll tell you why these things are very popular. See, framework is basically means that it makes you much easier to build a common backend logic and all. It includes like mapping URL, databases, all these things are the backend work which happens, and this can be easily done using a particular framework kind of thing. Framework is nothing like a chassis. Okay, you can fit in a lot of things. So here also you can fit in a lot of things. Okay, which Python framework is more popular, or why do we use? Both Django and Flask are very popular. So if you learn Python, you can easily get into all these things. So if you start somewhere with Python, you can easily get into all these things. Okay, so it's I'll just tell you the basic difference. Flask is more popular, more simple. Even you can, with basic programming language, you can also achieve this simplicity, flexibility. You can program everything. Okay, and Django is like all inclusive. You get an admin panel, database interface, everything. It's more of structured one, but Flask is more preferred compared to Django because of its flexibility. So that is the whole understanding behind it. So Flask, if you're focused on experience, learning opportunities, more control, it's more you can control all the minute things. But Django is like if you're focusing on the final product, straightforward applications. I want a news website, I want a blog. That is the case we get into Django. But apart from that, Flask is what most of the professional programmers prefer. Flask. See, this is the data science. See, data science, there are a hell lot of algorithms which comes up here. I've just given you a brief thing about the algorithms. All these names which you see there are a kind of algorithm which has some objective to achieve. Okay, so every algorithm will do something. Okay, and if you want to implement these algorithms efficiently at an industrial level, see, there are two kinds. One is the academic level, the other is the industrial level. If you want to implement something at the industrial level, it is Python. There's no replacement for machine learning with respect to the language Python. If you want to do machine learning, artificial intelligence, whatever it could be, then it is only Python. Okay, so that's the only thing. So I can say this from my heart, and because you go to any community for that matter, most of them are written in Python. If you look for as I said, there is one of the biggest competitor for Python is none other than R programming language, but R fails because of its flexibility. I need to learn specifically R, but somebody who has learned already Python, it's easy for him to understand his data science techniques and get into become a data science, or he can easily add one more feather to his cap by learning through data science algorithms, and if you already know Python. So students, as you know that it's like if you're trying to invest your time and effort on learning, if you ask me that which programming language should I master, sir, so that I'll become I'll become what is that recruitment, I'll become 100% recruitment fit, then it is Python. I would say that with 100% effort, because there are a lot of opportunities with respect to Python, and it's very flexible. It need not be data science. As I said, you can also get into web development. You can also get into automative tasks like scripting. So there are a lot of things which comes around. Let me throw some light on these machine learning algorithms. For example, Netflix. So if you have seen Netflix, you get a lot of recommendations on the movies. You see some two action-oriented movies, you get to recommendation that since you have seen this last action-oriented movies, you can also refer this. That's because of the Python code which runs in the background. Okay. Same thing happens in Google as well. Okay. Then, for example, something like in Gmail, something like a classification happens, like spam or not spam. Spam, I think you would have experienced this. Some mails will be automatically be bucketed in the spam folder. That's because of the Python language or the Python programming language which runs in the background. Facebook, you don't believe that Facebook uses Python a lot. In fact, he has contributed to the Python community by developing a new library called as PyTorch. They call it as PyTorch. PyTorch, basically torch, what does a torch do? It helps you to see things which are in the dark. So PyTorch is a kind of a machine learning algorithm or a technique which will help you to see things, the friends recommendations, your school recommendations, or because he recommends your friends based on community, based on the school, all these things because Python. Facebook is a big fan of Python. So there are a lot of companies which, in fact, Uber, uses Python. So there are a lot of such companies which uses Python for various techniques here. Let me give you a brief, introduction to data science here. Since I'm showing you the slide here. See, I'll just use my pen here. See, this is machine learning. Okay, see, it's like this. If you ask me the basic question, what is the difference between machine learning and artificial intelligence? Earlier, uh, you know, uh, uh, if something repeats whatever I said, they said, "Oh, machine has learned; it is artificial intelligence." But now it says, "Hey, that is all wrong." I mean, it doesn't work like that. That's not. So, artificial intelligence is a moving target. Today what you see something is automated, tomorrow it might be redundant. So artificial intelligence is a moving target. Okay, it evolves over a period of time, whereas machine learning is something like you enable the machine to do it on its own. So that's the whole concept difference between machine learning and artificial intelligence. See, there are two kinds of learning. One is supervised learning, the other is unsupervised learning. Supervised means I already tell him that this is dog. The first one is a dog, second one is a dog, third one is a cat. I show him that this is what it is, and then I give him a new animal and tell him, can you identify whether it's a dog or a cat? He will say, based on whatever he has learned, he might say that it is a dog or a cat. So which means he already knows something. I would have already told him something. That is called a supervised learning. Unsupervised basically means that it doesn't know what they are. It doesn't know that it is called as a dog. It doesn't know that it is called as a cat. It just classifies them. Okay, it identifies a pattern. That's called as unsupervised learning. Okay, that's what is happening. You can see in supervised you have regression, classifications and all, whereas here you have clustering, pattern search, and various things. If I get more deep into this, then we will be deviating from the main seminar of Python. But just to give a hang of it, uh, if you want to predict something, regression. If you want to classify something based on some inputs, then these are the algorithms which are used. For example, you give me your bank statement, I can tell you whether you'll be a defaulter or not defaulter. If you give you loan, then it is done through this logistic regression. Suppose if I want to identify customers, whether people go to KFC, McDonald's, or any other pizza burger joint, then I will do something called as clustering here. I'll try to identify where are they, what are they doing, etc. Then reinforcement learning is wherein the learning happens on the go. It learns over a period of time. And neural networks here is that here we create something called as a neuron, which works similar to a human brain. However, in whatever way you think human brain works, we try to simulate the same thing using something called as neural networks, where we create a neuron. Our brains are made of neurons, and we create a neural network here through which it can take its own decision. And this ensemble methods basically means that we try to iterate over a period of time. We try to run the same algorithm multiple times, and we see what is the best fit or the best prediction which we can get, or the best model which we can build. So that is how these things are basically used. Okay, so machine learning will become default over a period of time. So it's better that you get into Python so that you'll always have an upper hand with respect to these things, where you'll be able to to tell whether these things work or not. In fact, I think at the end I'll just show you something after this scripting that um, I gave a seminar on COVID. So what best I can, as a data scientist, what is the best which we can contribute to the current situation is that I cannot bring out a new vaccine here which tells that this is what it is, but definitely I can tell people that when will we peak out, where would the peak be. And I think Mr. Prakash was also there in that seminar, and I had we had actually predicted that the peak will come somewhere around 1 lakh cases per day. And this we had predicted when the cases per day were somewhere around 8,000 or 6,000 around 2 months back. So I'll show you how exactly it was done on Python and what kind of flexibility that Python can actually offer. Okay, so that is what the whole power behind Python. Okay, and Python is a kind of programming language which doesn't need an engineer to learn because it's simple, very simple to learn. So the many of these data scientists, they're not actually from, many of them are not from science background. There are many from commerce background as well who have become data scientists just by learning Python. So imagine if a science student is able to invest his time and effort in Python, then he can grow to new heights itself. Okay? So it's scripting. Scripting basically refers to writing small programs which can automate things like categorization of emails, running certain tasks in the server, running certain repeated tasks. So that's called scripting, and Python is also used for it. It is also used in testing as well, which can actually help you to do these things. Yeah, now come to Java. So I'll tell you why Java became very popular and why Python is also in the same boat. See, Java can be used both on the client and the server side, which means there is front end, there is back end. So Java can be used both. Okay, and it's a cross-platform programming language, which means that you can use it wherever you want. For example, you can program it on mobile platform as well as on a web platform. Facebook supported React Native JavaScript. React Native is basically a library of JavaScript which is used for building applications both on the desktop and as well as the mobile platform. For example, I have seen Amazon both on a mobile and as well as on a desktop. If you want to do that, then Java is actually very popular, but Python is also catching up behind. And also Java is very old, so there is a lot of community support from it. But that is what makes Java popular. Okay. Now the reason why I'm showing this here is that if I'm telling you that Python is something which is new and which you can invest there, I should tell what is the current situation. The current situation is that Java still is the #1 programming language, but Python stands at the second position, second, third by different surveys, but it's somewhere around second or third. Java is still #1, but definitely Python is at second or third. But Java cannot do what Python does. Java has nowhere application to data science, whereas Python has its applications in data science. Okay, so there are certain things which are common, but Python definitely scores much ahead of this. Java scripts, it was also released in 1995. It is also very popular. Let's use JavaScript. Now the question: Python's popularity outperform Java in the next 5 years? Yes, because of its growing simplicity and adoption of this language by major companies which are handling data. There is a possibility, big possibility that it can easily overtake Python in the next coming years. So just to show you, this was March 2019 programming popularity, I think this was from GitHub or something. The source was GitHub or something, and you can see still Java is very popular. Next comes C, and next comes Python, C++, Visual Basic, JavaScript. So it goes on. Java is still the most preferred programming language. Python is slowly catching up. Okay, I'll show you at what pace it is catching up also. Okay, the pace at which. And there was a survey done, the survey said that yes, they definitely love JavaScript, but they have also 38.8% also declared solid relationship with Python, which means that these Java guys are slowly catching up with Python. Okay, GitHub also has come up with an output here. So these are the the GitHub is basically a programming repository, which you know, like how you have how you can place your files in a cloud like OneDrive or something. GitHub is basically meant for keeping your codes in the cloud, and in that Python is the most preferred, again second most preferred programming language, and then you have Java and JavaScript going here and there. So three main reasons why Java is very popular: code readability and simplicity. As I said, very easy. It's as easy as English language to read and understand. Okay, reliability and efficiency have won love of many artificial intelligence experts. As I said, it became popular in the data science community. The whole sole reason being that it was very simple to use, and you have an active community support. If I don't know anything, if I just Google, I get hundreds of websites telling me the solutions for this for that particular problem. That is what I need. And as Java has an active community support, Python also has an active community support. And because of which Python is growing very popular amongst the data scientists, and it is also very easy to read, easily maintainable, and you can see go through these things very easily. And Stack Overflow, I think you would have heard of this website. Stack Overflow is something which gives you solutions to most of the problems which you find when you are trying to code. And this was the current situation in 2018. He was telling that how many questions people have posted on this particular programming language. You can see that Java, look at its popularity. See, Python, look at the popularity of Python, the red one. Java is always number one from almost many years, but Python suddenly it has started growing. So you always need to go with the trend. The trend here is Python, and it's going to be incredibly popular. So people are asking more questions on Python on Stack Overflow, and this is their forecast. By 2020, Python will dominate. And in Stack Overflow, there are more questions posted on Python. Okay, that's what has happened. Okay, sir. So till now you have said Python you have becomes very popular among guys and among programming language and all these things. And you have, so from whatever seminar which you have given till now, or whatever explanation which you have given till now, what we can conclude is that Python is definitely simple, easy to understand, okay, compared to other programming languages, and it is versatile, which means you can use for web development and data science and scripting. So it is present all in all the places. Okay. So if I invest my time, assuming that I listen to your seminar, and if I invest my time on Python, what are the different career opportunities which are there in Python? These are the different career opportunities. Django Flask helps you to develop development and frameworks. There's something called a spy games, which is also used in game development. There's big data, there's web testing, there's AI, there's smart services like IoT. All these things are open to you. This is sourced by Edureka. So Edureka says that this is what it means. Okay, that there are a lot of opportunities. And if I just go to Google and type that how many jobs are posted with respect to Python, you get some 7,000 odd jobs. So Python is something which if you can master every day, then you definitely have a good chance at your employment. And these are the different job profiles. See, you'll get most of these job profiles, but with respect to these two things, this data analyst and data scientist or research analyst, these are the things which requires a Python. Apart from that, if you learn Java also, you get all these profiles, but you don't get the data thing with respect to Java. You get this with respect to Python. And this is the salaries which you get. You can see here, most interesting thing to observe is that the data scientist has got the highest amount of salary here. The data scientist is the guy who gets the highest amount of salary even in today's pandemic era. Okay, so let me show you a few examples of the simplicity kind of thing which comes up with Python. So this is I have written many programming. I mean, I have written many codes, many tasks with respect to Python. Let me show you the current situation of the COVID. Okay. So you can, yeah. So I think, yeah. One second. Yeah. So this is the one. See, I have used simple programming language called as Python to, estimate what will be the average cases of COVID. See, I'm telling this, we had done this, what you can see this checkpoint here. It is at 9/3/2020. This was somewhere, sorry, this is in today. Okay, but I had done this somewhere on 3 months, 3 months back, and that time the cases per day was 8,000. So you can see here there are some simple libraries which you can import, and the the reason, the logic behind project prediction. See, I have gone by this approach. I may be wrong, but if you want to come up with some estimate that what can happen, okay, what I did was that, see, I took the numbers from Italy. See, if a virus behaves in a particular manner in Italy, the virus should also behave in the same manner in India as well. So by this time, we know that virus is the same across the world. It does the impact what it needs to be done. Okay, so in Italy, the curve, the curve in Italy, the curve was steep like this, and now they're falling. But in India, it went flat, and now it has started peaking out. So we have not yet peaked here. We have not yet peaked. India is the only country which has not yet peaked. Peaked means from here, the number of cases per day should start declining. We are still going up. We have still not reached this peak. Italy reached this peak long before, when we were sitting in lockdown watching television, and then it is started to decline, and now they are picking up the second wave. Okay, we are yet to peak. So our question 2-3 months back was that when is this in India? Okay, when is this in India? So what we did is that using Python programming language, we said that why don't we simulate whatever happened in Italy to India? So we take the data of Italy data, you simulate the similar thing and try to understand what could happen in India. So when I was doing the seminar, I myself was not confident because I don't know much about the virus, but I'm a statistician. You give me some data, I can predict it. So I can work on the data. So our cases per day, you can see here, I'll not explain all the algorithms here, but our cases per day, this is what my prediction was. You can see here, the curve here came to around 1,20,000 per day. This curve, the peak here, when I predicted it, it came to around 1,20,000 per day cases. So we hit this peak. So our peak is somewhere at 1,20,000 cases per day. Okay, when I said this, I myself was not confident about telling this. I was telling that this is what the data is telling, but I don't know, I could be wrong. And if I go at this pace, the total cases in India will reach somewhere close to around a crore. Close to around a crore cases will be there in India. That's what we had predicted. But how did we predict? See, if you want to predict something using Python, you need to first fit certain statistical models and you need to predict it. So if I take, if I, and people did not, I mean, in that seminar, I myself was not confident. But today, if you see the current situation, I'll show you the current situation. So current situation, you can see here, yesterday or day before yesterday, we have hit a new peak of 97,000 cases per day. So I was expecting, though I had predicted 1,20,000 cases per day, I was expecting, please God, make me wrong. Don't get this to India. Let my analysis go wrong. That is what I was praying. But I mean, we are very close to that reality. We are at 97,000 cases per day, and you can see here we are still on the rise. This says this curve needs to come like this. It needs to come like this, which is not yet happening. So our prediction says that this will happen only when the number of cases per day hits 1,20,000. So that is what Python says. And the death rate is also consistently increasing. Now, unfortunately, we are the only country in the entire world whose curve has not yet dropped. The reason why, because we had implemented, it is good. It's not, I'm not saying that it's bad. The reason, because we had implemented lockdown very strictly, very efficiently, because of which we delayed the takeoff, but the virus did what it had to be done. So all these insights can be achieved through Python. This was a sample of how you can write Python, and look at, I'll just show you a few things here. Look at the simplicity here. You need, see, if you look at a code will not be like continuous written one below the other, one below the other, one below the other. That is what makes it tough for other programming languages. Whereas in Python, you can see you can write it in blocks. First, I declared my reference, run only this much. Then I write my file, input data, only this. I'll just, if I have any problems, I'll be stuck here itself. I can go to internet, I can debug. I drew this plot just in one line of code. Just in one line of code, I was able to draw the entire graph of Italy. Okay, just in one line. Just tell me that this is X and this is Y and get my graph. Okay, and I can fit a linear regression model. See, I fitted a linear regression model just in 2 lines. In 2 lines, I can fit this because of the libraries which are there in Python. I can pull up as many libraries as I can, and I can implement that in Python. Okay, so, and you don't believe, I'll show you one more data science application. See that I showed you many algorithms there, right? You will be confused as which one to pick. There is a beautiful package in Python. What it does, you can see here, it will run some 20 odd algorithms. You can see all these are different algorithms. In a layman language, if I have to say algorithm, suppose if somebody has to predict my future, okay, whether I'll become rich or not, I'll go to a person who can read my palm. I'll go to a person who can read my voice and tell me. I'll go to a person who can read my star signs and tell me. I can go to a person who can read my numbers, numerology and tell me. So there are different people who will be able to predict me accurately, okay? And I'll go to each one of them. How will I value whether who is correct? Whether should I go to the palm reader or a star sign reader or a numerology? Whom should I go? How will I make that decision? I'll make the decision based on one simple concept, that whoever tells my past accurately, that is the guy who is also able to predict my future. In data science also we do the same. Whoever predicts the past data accurately, and if my past predicted data and the past observed data are in close match, I'll say that this is the algorithm which will fit my data, and we'll go ahead with that. So this kind of package or library in Python runs 21 algorithms in one shot, and it will tell me which one is good. It will only highlight and tell me that you can go with this. So that's the power of Python. This will not happen in Java or any other scripting language. Even in R also, this is very rare to happen. It's tough to achieve that. So Python has very high command in data science, and because of which the it is gaining a lot of popularity among people. Okay, so if you have to really make a career out of in the programming field, then I would strongly recommend that you should learn Python. Okay? But now the question comes, sir, you are telling all these things, sir, but how to master it, sir? How can we become perfect? From where do we start? Okay, I agree, it's simple, everything, good job opportunities, data science, I am also fascinated, but from where, sir? Where do we start? That's the question. So how to master? Automate your daily tasks. Something like, your emails, sending an email, automatic reply of email. You can start with simple automations that somebody, if instead of tasks which are doing in Excel, you can start doing them in Python. Okay, you can start reading multiple Excel files. All these things you can start doing. You can, and also colleges there which will deliver a syllabus, which if you go through that syllabus of Python, that should be enough. Learn different algorithms, okay, and data structures and all, and start implementing them. Start picking up projects. Take up projects which you like, which you feel, which you are comfortable, and start implementing them. Projects are the best way to learn Python. See, doing one project is equivalent to taking 10 data science certificates on the web. You go to Coursera, DataCamp, whatever it could be. But if you do one project, then you will be the person who is more knowledgeable compared to everyone. The reason is very simple, particularly in today's situation. Because of this COVID, every people have hundreds of certificates, but nobody has the practical knowledge because they have not worked on a project. Working on a project is a very different thing. See, you are trying to learn how to drive a car. You have attended hundreds of webinars, lectures, etc., and you have learned how to drive a car. Okay, fine. You know that this is how the car is driven. You know everything, mechanical, everything. You know what goes wrong, where to touch it. You have seen a lot of YouTube videos. Whereas me, I did not refer to any YouTube videos, or I did not get into any Coursera kind of stuff. I literally took a physical car and I started driving it and I started learning it. I was very slow, but I've learned it. So I have more expertise compared to what you are. I have more practical exposure compared to a person who has a lot of certificates. So projects is something which will really make you very competing in the today's world. Okay, so in the my last part of seminar, now I'll tell you what is practically happening across the world with respect to Python. With respect to Python, the top 10 world-class companies which are using machine learning, artificial intelligence with Python, and also Python for other generic tasks, look at what they're doing. Google, they were one of the largest tech companies, dream companies for anyone. He is using Python from, as I said, from very early days, and I gave you that statement initially also. That director had also made a statement. They use it for everything: YouTube, machine learning, artificial robotics, everything. The robotics means they are making that driverless car. Even there, Python is applied. So Python is what it's in and out of Google. Day in, day out, they work on Python. Okay. Then Facebook, as I said, PyTorch. PyTorch is one of major contributions of Facebook towards their Python community, and they also use it's free. The PyTorch is free and anybody can use this, but they are also very actively involved in work on Python, and they have adopted it since from a very early age because of its, again, simplicity and easy to maintain. The code is very easy to maintain. Instagram, you look at Instagram, what he has done. He has used the Django framework, okay, and he is considered as one of the largest implementation of Django. And the motivation, as I said again, it is simplicity and reliability. Okay. So Python means you should take this word into your mind: simplicity. Spotify, okay, it's a streaming app. Even there it is used, okay, for processing jobs, data analysis, okay, which music I should refer this fellow, all these things. It is also including a lot of these recommendation systems and all. And again, Python is used very extensively in Spotify. Quora, you would have seen this website, Quora, where it basically answers question and answer kind of platform. Here also, Python is there because of its speedy nature and also ease of use. You can easily modify things using Python. Okay. Netflix, they use it for many things, not only for recommendation system of the movies, security, alerts, and data analysis. So they use, and look at this, they're also telling which library they use. NumPy and SciPy, these are two famous libraries of Python which are used, which actually is used by Netflix. This is what is happening in today's world. Dropbox is also using Python, okay, and Dropbox was so impressed by that Python, they got this Judo Van Rossum. He was the creator of Python. He got them on board and they started improving the platform. So Dropbox is also considered as very impressive when it comes to Python. Reddit is also one of the microblogging websites. Again, they also use Python. And Amazon and Uber, though you don't leave it at all, it's one of the largest tech companies, and they use Amazon. Python is used in Amazon for recommendation systems, machine learning purpose, understanding the customer needs, recommendations, etc. And they have used it across all the platforms. There is no doubt about it. Uber is also using it. Uber actually basically uses for calculation. A lot of calculation happens in Uber with respect to bills generation, the calculations, the incentives, etc. And there again, Uber is mostly prefers Python. So Uber is using Python in the backdrop for doing all these calculations in the backdrop. So this is what Python is all about: web development, data science, and scripting. Simplicity, readability, and versatility, and it can easily adopt. This is what Python has made popular. Though Python was very old, but it has picked up in the last years, preferably because of these features which are picking up. Okay. Last but not the least, there is a new competitor to it. His name is called Julia. Julia is a 2015 born programming language from MIT University. 4 people sat in MIT and created this language, Julia. Julia is the new and the most recent competitor to Python. But if you know Python, you can easily learn Julia. Now, what exactly differentiates Julia from Python? Speed. Speed is the one of the major thing which differentiates Julia from Python. Programming language C is the one which has the highest execution speed because it directly converts it into machine language and directly gets into the C code, so interpreter. So Julia is a kind of thing which directly hits the CPU, and it's because of which it has high speed. And I would say that since going ahead, data will only keep generating, it will keep increasing day by day. You need a lot of speed to achieve that. And Julia is something which is combining both C and Python. That is Python's simplicity, readability, etc., etc., and C programming speed. Both are combined, and this gives birth to a new programming language called Julia. So, what is Julia? Julia, as I said, first speed, second community. Communities, it is not yet evolved. It's a new language, Julia. Python is old. So, if you have some doubts on Julia, then you'll be really stuck. You'll not get much help from the internet or from the community. Code version, Julia can be easily made by converting C or Python codes. As I said, if you know Python, you can easily learn Julia. So there's no doubt about it. There's one more basic difference. If you have learned any programming language, there's something called as array indexing. In Julia, it is always indexed from 1, whereas in Python, it starts from 0, 0, 1, 2, 3 array numbers. But here it starts from, that's one of the programming differences, but which you can catch up. Libraries, there is limited libraries because people have not yet contributed. Like I showed you those libraries like PyCaret or and all, or the libraries which have used in that COVID prediction. They still don't exist in Julia. So that's why still Julia is yet to pick up. Okay, and it is also you can create the variables dynamically. So dynamically type means you can create the variables dynamically. You need not declare it. Like if you have done any Excel VBA programming language, you need to declare that this is integer, this is string, etc. Whereas in Python, you need not declare it. Same way in Julia also, you need not declare it. Okay, but Julia, I don't know, 5 years down the line, it could be a competitor, but we don't know how exactly it proceeds. But Julia is combination of C and Python, but I am still not very fascinated by Julia. The whole and sole reason being that I don't have community support. I don't have a proper community support, and I don't have libraries. I don't have libraries. So speed is good. Yeah, I'm very impressed with Julia speed, but I don't have a proper community support, and I don't have so much of library. See, library. What can library do is that instead of you writing 100 lines of code, you just call that library. It is done. Just give him the input; it will give you the output. That's what one of the primary applications of a library will do. But here, Julia is yet to be developed, yet to be contributed by the community developers. Why I told you that Python is there, yeah, Java is also there. You have understood what is the difference between Java and Python. But you should also understand who is the new
The community of programmers
who
will
click on the
become
block is none other than
much easier to get your problems solved online.
yeah. So this is all about Python, its application in the real world, and it stands with respect to other programming languages. Okay. Now, Prakash, I think you can take up these 2 slides and conclude the session.
Thank you, sir, for the valuable, informative, and fruitful session. I hope and sure this was an enlightening session for all of us. Thank you, Nishant, sir. Now
Thank
it's time for open discussion. Participants can ask your questions directly or may post your questions into chat box. I think make you want more kind of help you in your journey to learning Python. Nishant sir very clearly learned Python has a good career opportunity. What are the reasons for Python increasing demand? So please ask any questions.
Okay. What about SAS programming in data? Ashwin mentioned as SAS. SAS, the problem with SAS, Ashwin, is that you have to pay 16 lakhs rupees. It's a very costly package to be paid. Since open source, programming language are gaining popularity, SAS is, it's going at the end with respect to data science. The first immediate competitor to SAS programming was R. R programming language is the first immediate competitor to SAS programming language. But what has happened recently is that Python is racing ahead with respect to data science. So SAS, yeah, there were a lot of certification programs, as well as people had invested a lot of their resources on SAS, but unfortunately, they are giving up because they're not. SAS is not able to match up the speed which what Python is offering. So Python is picking up. So I would say SAS, if you've gone through SAS programming, it will help you to understand a programming language that's always there. But Python is really racing ahead. There's no match to Python. Any other questions?
Okay, thank you, sir.
Right.
Participants can ask any more questions? Your questions directly, or may post your questions in the chat box. Sir,
How can I extract SPSS? Ashwin Wilson, you're telling SPSS file? I think SPSS file, yeah. Ashwin Wilson, the best thing to read, Python doesn't read an SPSS file. You have to the data to a CSV. You have to extract the data to a CSV file. That is, if you just do a copy paste, it goes to a CSV file, and that can be easily read by a Python. CSV file or even Excel also reads an Excel file. So SPSS file it doesn't read. See, SPSS is not, why I'll tell you SPSS is not read by Python, because SPSS is a software which is only used in the academic industry. It is not used in the actual industry. So because of its various limitations. So if you still want to do all the analysis on Python, which you can do on SPSS, it's always there. You can do it in a much more better way, but you have to convert that to an Excel file or a CSV file, and from there you can easily read.
I know.
yeah. Okay, thank you, sir. I think questions are over.
No.
Any more questions? Participants? Yeah. Okay then.
Thank you.
Thank you all. The link for feedback is posted in the chat box. Each certificates will provide an upon submitting the feedback form. Certificate will be sent in your mail. Now it's time to wind up the session. I invite Dr. Leon Varghese, our UGC BVOC Nodal Officer, for delivering the vote of thanks.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, sir. Audible.
Okay, before I speak something, I just want to say Prakash, hi.
Hi.
Leon here. I think Prakash was about to say something, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you?
Yeah.
You
Yes.
were, Prakash,
said-
you were about to say something, I think.
Yes. So the question section started, so I thought of dropping out. So can I start?
I think yes, yes.
Yeah. So I wanted to thank Mr. Nishant, and why I asked, like when Nishant told like there are a lot of application level for the students, why students do such type of training section at the time of their academics, is that what I wanted to stress to the students, because many of the times we see students coming for interviews, many companies take up through campus placement drives, right? So in campus placement drives we select students and normally we get their profiles, but normally when an interviewer check their profile, they check their capability in their technical skill set. Why a interviewer should check how much you have got in your academics, like what is the relevance there, to know like how much they have received in their academics. So now companies are mostly drilling either in their technical skill set, so that can be done either through a certification program, like or through their academic projects. Like academic projects also give a lot of benefit for their placement drives. So what has happened is that whenever you start doing, like first years or second year students start doing a training program, they can develop their own project in their final year. So that is the best benefit for doing a hands-on training session in the academics time. And moreover, now you know the pandemic section, many cost cutting happens in the company. So what company do is that they are trying to get more interns from the campus so that they can share their work and try to get it immediately with their interns. And moreover, you see like this particular program Python can be studied by anybody. Like I can see like many people from non-IT graduates or from BCom or BBA can also learn this beautiful language. You might have seen from the presentation how that language works. And and moreover, whenever you apply for higher education abroad for universities in Australia, New Zealand, or in Europe or South America regions, I have seen this particular language gives a lot of value addition in many universities because they find this particular language to do in their research works, etc. So this is how this particular language will benefit for students. And our main trainers for this program will be uh, Nishan. Can you move to the next slide? Like Nishan can part of the program, and Nishan being in the 15 years of this industry, he can also be part of your training section. Or Mr. Indu Prasad, who is being associated with Christ College for the last 2 years, can also be part of your training section. So these two faculties have gained lot of experience in research. They are supporting in various research programs for doctors, etc. And they have been working with many corporate levels as a corporate trainer, etc. So these type of faculties will definitely be an value addition for any of the training programs, right? So that's what I wanted to bring in for the student community. Thank you. Leon sir.
Okay, thank you, sir. Nishan, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks again for joining us today. Leon, sir. Hello. Hello, Leon, sir. Can you there? Participants, the link for feedback is posted in the chat box. E-certificates will provide upon submitting the feedback form. Certificate will be sent to your mail. Okay, I express a very special thanks to each and everyone. Thanks again for joining us today, and we will see you next time. Hello? Leon, sir?
Yes. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, no, yes, sir.
I got exit some connection problem.
Yes, okay, sir.
So I'm sorry I missed the last part. So are you done, Prakash?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. So I will just wind up. My only duty is to say thanks to all of you. Yeah. So I'm very happy to see still there are almost 158 participants, and I was watching throughout the presentation there were more than 150 active participants in this session. So all the credit goes to Mr. Nishant. I think he is really resourceful. That is why many of the students, most of the students, I think some of them are at least faculties. So they were very interested to listen this talk. So first of all, I like to thank Mr. Nishant. And
thank you.
Thank you. And of course, alongside, I would like to thank Prakash. Prakash, it's been some time since we met, I think.
Yeah.
we'll meet again after the COVID pandemic. And I would like to congratulate the Department of Vocational Studies team, especially the coordinator Jinamis and Rijamis, for making effort to have such a nice discussion from such an eminent person. So with that note, I conclude. I thank you all.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Once upon, thank you, everyone. We appear you being
Thank you.
here. I express a very special thanks to each and everyone who made this event a great success. Thank you all.
Okay, thank you everyone. Thank you.
Okay.